This episode of the Kill by Kill podcast is brought to you in part by Smile. Watch Smile on digital today. Sawsgiving stars in this terrifying horror tale that critics are calling haunting and scary as hell. Now you can buy Smile on digital right now and face your fears with over an hour of heart-pounding bonus content, including the original short film that started it all. Available at participating retailers, Smile is rated R and from Paramount Pictures. To celebrate Smile's debut on digital, we're giving away 5 copies of the horror hit of the year to 5 lucky Kill by Kill listeners. Just email us at killbykillpod@gmail.com for your chance to win. And now, the body count continues. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Sawsgiving time is here. That's right, we're talking about Saw 3D, the final chapter. It's another one of these on Kill by Kill. Well, greetings and salutations, Internet. It's your old pal, Patrick Hamilton, coming to you once again from Sawsville, USA, Canada. This is the Kill by Kill podcast, where we are dedicated to celebrating the least discussed component of any horror film, the characters. Now, we're going to unpack all the gory details of Saw 3D, the final chapter, or whatever thing they put on the end of this to make it stand out, or change it after the fact, in the hopes that a liar's untimely end is just the beginning of the jokes that we might make at their expense. And as always, there is only one person I trust, that if I'm caught behind glass with my life on the line, she'll at least throw more than a leather briefcase at the window to try to break it open. The one, the only, Gina Radcliffe. How are you doing today, Gina?
Hello, Patrick.
I think, Gina, have you been taken over by Billy the Puppet?
You spent the past 7 years talking about horror movies, and I think it's time that you find yourself in your own horror movie.
I did find myself in my own horror movie, and that was watching this movie. I was literally prying myself out of my seat. I kept checking the time code, hoping I was closer and closer to the 90-minute mark, and it just kept going and going and going.
Well, you know, I'm sure it was difficult. You had to keep watching because your wife and your son were chained up on the ceiling of your house with a pack of wild dogs snapping at them, and
Sure.
for every minute, every second you looked away from the television, they'd lower closer to the dogs.
Yeah, no, that's the only way to force me to do a good Sawsgiving, is to really put myself in the pressure cooker, as it were. Now, I don't want to scare you, Gina, but we are not alone. That is right. We have a special guest in this game. He is both the host and producer of the very wonderful Screen Drafts podcast, the one, the only Clay Keller. How are you doing today, Clay?
Well, Patrick, Gina, I'm feeling not unlike one of the members of Bobby's team waking up and finding themselves in one of these fucking rooms in this abandoned insanitarium in the second half of the movie. Like, I didn't do anything wrong.
Sure.
I don't deserve to be here. And I'm in this situation because you two have put yourselves in this
Sure.
in this awful place.
All you did was accept an invitation, and yet you find yourself in this green-brown hell of an underground zoo. Now, Clay, I'm going to ask this question, and I may know the answer personally, but please elucidate this to the rest of our audience. What was your experience with Saw before we forced you to watch this one?
Well, yeah. So, Patrick, I think, you are aware of what my answer to this is going to be, Gene. I don't think it's possible you are not, and I'm sure the audience is not. As people who listen to my show know, I didn't really get into horror until I was in my 20s. And as such, This is the only Saw movie I have ever seen.
Perfect.
Wow.
What an introduction.
We're so sorry.
And I have never been more confused. Maybe like, I don't know when, maybe at like somewhere in the middle of Memoria or something is the only time I've been more confused watching a movie than the first half of watching Saw, the final chapter 3D, having never seen another Saw movie.
You know what? That's okay, because this is our third one, and I'm still not any clearer as to who these people are and how they're connected to each other. It's incomprehensible.
I think we've said it before, but I often feel like this is the sort of thing that people who are not Marvel movie fans, you kind of hear that like, how I can't imagine someone just walking into the middle of one of these movies and understanding how this world works and stuff like that. And I was always going like, I don't know, there's a cultural awareness that you probably have to like superheroes in general. So, and you know, if you have a fun time, if you don't have a fun time, that's really, yeah, that is the fault of the movie. But I bet people can keep up. And then I watch one of these things. I'm like, oh no, they're right. This fucking sucks. This is terrible. I don't know what's going on. I don't know who these people are. And I don't know why they like it. It is fucking terrible. Again, for the third year in a row, I'm going to apologize to people who enjoy Saw movies. No one should ever talk you out of something you genuinely enjoy, whether or not it is the movie making or the cultural experience you had in watching these movies, nostalgia. It doesn't matter. You don't have to make excuses for me and my dumb ass and my stupid opinions. Be you. But but right up straight, this is the fucking worst thing we've watched in Sawsville, USA, Gina. It is terrible.
Yeah, the word I keep using for these movies is tedious. They're tedious.
Yes.
And as I said on Twitter, soon to be RIP, you know, of all the Saw movies I have watched so far, this one is certainly the screamiest. Because all anybody does is scream and scream. Sometimes they scream, "Get me the fuck out of here."
Yeah.
Sometimes they scream various characters' names, but there's a lot of screaming. Everybody is constantly screaming.
It's a very yelly movie. Everyone is giving their all. If their all is their vocal cords. Right. Clay, what volume did you watch this movie on? I
watched it early this morning because I wanted to make sure that I was present and awake and engaged, because I was going to be coming on a podcast that I was, you know, invited to be on, and I was so excited to do this, and I wanted to bring my A game. So I watched it at like 8 a.m, and as such, I had it turned down really low because my girlfriend was still asleep in the next room, and she still said she was like, "Wow, that movie sounded like a lot." I was like,
It was a lot, and yet it's very little at the same time.
So there's this like a 25-page screenplay, I'm sure. I don't even like this is you guys were talking about how loud this movie is and screamy it is. And that's incredibly accurate. People who, you know, listen to my shit know that I famously don't even like good movies that are really screamy and loud. So watching one of the worst movies I've ever seen, and it was screamy and loud, was a real trial. Patrick, you described continuously checking the runtime. And I was absolutely, like keeping my eye on the big red or green clock ticking down from 90. Oh my goodness. And just the way it's structured, you have no clue until you get to about the midway point. You really have no idea what's happening or where it's going or what is important, or like there's no structure to it. It's the strangest. Because I didn't know the series. It opens. I mean, I know visually, I know the bathroom from the first movie or whatever that is, the room that the first movie takes
sort of a
place
cultural awareness. Like you're in a pop culture, you know, continuum. So if you've seen anything, you've kind of seen a tile bathroom and a chain up to a pipe. You know, you get the idea.
Cary Elwes with a hacksaw in his hand, and Tobin Bell. And I guess the image, does he always go out on the town in like loose jeans and a hoodie and a backwards baseball cap.
Yes.
Because
here's the thing, Clay.
That's the best part of the movie.
It is the reason I chose this particular film over any of the other ones, which is always a random draw, was two factors. One, it was available in 3D, and we've done several 3D movies this year. And so I'm like, hey, I think this is a miniature theme that's happening within this season. I'm going to watch this in 3D because how could it possibly be worse than Amityville 3D or Jaws 3D? Spoiler alert, Jaws 3D is Jaws in comparison to this.
I don't disagree with that assessment.
And the other one was someone had posted on Twitter, RIP, pour one out for your homies, is just a still of Tobin Bell dressed like a divorced dad whose girlfriend was in a sorority 2 years ago.
I mean, it's full on. How do you do? Like fellow kids,
yes,
from 30 Rock. He's not a joke.
He's just missing like the music band on his shirt.
I mean, it is the wildest fucking look out of at least the two other movies that we've watched, Gina, that he's been forced to as a get up in. It is just a wild goddamn decision, but we will get to that. Let us rewind here.
Well, I wanted to point out real quick to Clay, because this is his first Saw movie, is the thing you have to know about Tobin Bell is his character, his name is actually John Cream, but just call him Jigsaw, everybody does.
Yeah, everyone does.
His character died 4 movies ago. And they still find ways to insert him into flashbacks and just they still, he still pops up in these movies, but technically his character has died 4 movies ago. And he's planned
all of this.
So I have several questions.
Sure. I can't promise we have answers, but we'd love to hear questions.
You've seen at least 2 of these.
Right, yeah.
Each. Okay, so I did not, like I said, until about halfway through this movie, I could not have told you which scenes were flashbacks and which ones were taking place in the current timeline.
Sure, yeah.
Because I had absolutely no idea. But all the stuff where Tobin Bell saves Carrie Elwes is none of that's. Is this the first time we're seeing any of that, or have we seen this before?
Yes, that is the grand reveal.
Okay,
of this,
the thing, so Carrie Elwes being alive at all, is that a reveal? At the beginning of the movie that he didn't die at the end of Saw, or is that something we've seen before?
No, he has not appeared in a Saw movie outside of a flashback or a flash cut of. Hey, a saga cell previously on Saw.
Which these movies absolutely love. I would say a good 33% of an average Saw movie is flashbacks.
Yes.
It felt very much like I was watching Francois Truffaut's Love on the Run watching this movie. It's the main comparison point.
I'm going to be honest with you, Clay. That is the first time Francois Truffaut's name has ever been mentioned in connection with a Saw movie. And conversely, he may be turning in French in a grave right now because of it.
Yeah, I hope so.
just spitting, mon Dieu.
Why must they do that? I don't think that's a real French accent. Again, I don't do accents. No. Longtime listeners will be aware of my difficulty with accents. But yes, this is the first time we've seen him emerge from that dirty bathroom from the first movie.
And that was okay, where he cauterizes his stump. That was all right. That was gross. But then there's the thing where Tobin Bell also does he, again, it's cut so quickly that I had a hard time kind of picking up on any. He seems to peel off a mask or something when he's bald. Was he masquerading as another character?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you.
Have you seen that before?
Yeah, that's the big twist at the end of the first Saw movie, which I will say is pretty good. When you watch Saw for the first time and that happens, he is disguised as a corpse basically that
Okay.
is in this room with Carrie Elwes and was it Lee Winnell or something?
Yes.
Was that the other guy?
Yes.
And so
Two
they do,
legit actors and now a legit director are
yeah,
trapped in this room
with a corpse. But the corpse is actually Jigsaw, just disguised. So yeah, that's actually kind of, if you haven't seen the movie, that's actually a pretty good reveal, and that's the last time a Saw movie is ever actually interesting. But the thing is, with it being revealed that Carrie Elwes has been helping him, would only be a shocking reveal if you've never seen another Saw movie except the first one, because every fucking Saw movie relies on this guy Jigsaw just somehow talking someone, quite possibly someone he has tortured at some point, into suddenly seeing his side of things and helping him out. This has happened 3 times already.
Yeah, at least in the ones we've watched, he just like, there's a reason why our one Saw t-shirt in our TeePublic store is Jigsaw has a posse. Because there's something about this dude that just people go, you know what? Listen, you tortured me. I had to cut things off. You know, I hoped I would live. I kind of wanted to die, but now that I'm through it, I don't know.
They need
Maybe
to do
it's
like
time to kill people with you. They just love it.
HBO needs to do a the Vow style doc series about this guy Kramer, whatever his name is, Crane. Figure out what is it
instead of volleyball, you're digging keys out of your own guts, that sort of shit.
Yeah, like Costas Mandalore's character is like a former like acolyte or apprentice of his who goes rogue. And then you have like Shawnee Smith's character who shows up in a couple other movies. She's another one that he initially tortured, and then she decided, I like the cut of his jib. I think I'm gonna see what this guy who nearly killed me is all about.
I like his philosophy. I need to get on board. Oh my God.
And this is all, I'm looking at my notes, and every note when there's a new character introduced, it's kind of my general impression of them, followed by, are they in a previous movie? Because I just have like, is Kroger brand Steven Dorff in previous movies?
No, weirdly enough, he is not. If we're talking about the same person, and I don't know if we are.
Well, I think
that's the fun
there's
part
also
here.
Kroger brand Ryan Gosling. But well, actually, if this is all Canadian, he might be related to Ryan Gosling.
It's possible.
Chad Donella. No, I didn't realize. So Bobby, who, by the way, this movie is only second to Stephen Sondheim's Company in the number of times they use the name Bobby in the dialogue. I didn't realize it was the other guy from Boondock Saints is the Bobby guy. Yeah. Man, oh man.
What a divergent career path those two have had. From a movie that, I don't know, seemed like okayish fun at the time, and then got to be very not fun when it's like Joker 1.0 in terms of people's allegiance to this fucking movie. And then to be at the point where one of them is on the biggest television show anywhere on television, and the other guy's like, well, I just did Saw 3D, so I mean, everything's coming up roses for me, baby. I was young Indiana Jones once upon a time.
Oh,
it is
right.
Wow. I was Powder. Y'all remember Powder?
But I'll say it is really impressive to the degree to which there is not a single good performance in this. I mean, Tobin Bell has he's got an aura. He's got a gravitas whenever he's on screen with his voice. This Costas Mandalore guy is God. At least he's like big. I don't know. He's imposing in some way.
We have described him as a human canned ham in a jacket.
I mean, and I'm sure he didn't have any competition until this movie when Carrie Elwes walks in doing fucking like Hannibal Lecter. Like, Was he like that in the first movie? Like the scene where he's in the shadows and like walks up with the cane.
No.
And is like doing a voice. I'm like, wait.
Well, that's the thing. Like as soon as when he shows up as the leader of the support group, like the very second he's on screen, I'm like, he's helping him. He's helping him. I actually thought, a split second, I thought, oh God, what if Jigsaw does some sort of like Mission Impossible, like pulls the Cary Elwes mask off, and he's Jigsaw. But this is close enough.
It pulls a happy birthday to me and just kissing people with rubber bands on. Nobody noticed.
Like Cary Elwes, who very obviously had a bill he had to pay or something, whatever. Right. I'm not going to begrudge the man, but like he's just like oozes sinister. And it's like, okay, movie, you're not doing a good job of hiding that he's going to be involved and he's going to be further involved in this movie, in the plot of this movie, such as it is.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just get into it here. Let's just try to crawl our way through this particular trap of this motion picture and just hope that we come out with all of our body parts attached on the other side. So we, of course, I assume in the timeline of Sawsville, this is like what, last month? Who the fuck knows when Saw 1 happened. But we're reintroduced to Dr. Larry Gordon. I think he's referred to as Lawrence, but I like Larry. It feels more familiar. So Larry has just emerged from sawing his own foot off and now has to raise his own leg with his arms because obviously it's fake and there's no muscle mass in the pile of rubber in front of him. So he has to lift it up to cauterize the wound left by him sawing his own foot off up against a steaming hot slime pipe. Because, of course, Sawsville has hot and cold running slime, Gina.
Just constant filth everywhere. I don't know how he didn't get immediate gangrene.
I know we've said this before, but there are no other movies on Earth that are this green and brown for no particular reason. And then occasionally you go outside and everything becomes blue, but then you're right back to green, baby.
Remember Joe versus the Volcano?
Yes, of course.
Remember, like, when he worked at the medical supply company and like everything is green and like there's that one scene where he's like looking up at the fluorescent light and it's like flickering and like his one eye starts like twitching. That's kind of like what watching a Saw movie is like for me.
Only that is funny and this is just bewildering.
Yeah. You can't wait to throw yourself into a volcano.
So he cauterizes his lopped off foot. And then the movie's just like, well, we did that, everyone. Go to a bunch of credits. And then you cut to a fine Canadian morning where busy commuters do not appear to notice that there's just an open stage with it like I'd say it's a store window, but it doesn't seem to be connected to a store. It's just a display. So there's two unconscious men slumped over a 3-bladed saw contraption. And of course, why would they? I'm sure this is what is in every display window everywhere in the world. Certainly, this time of year for you, Gina, in New York, you're probably going by Macy's and this is what you see every other day.
Oh yeah. I just often see, people in pig masks just dragging unconscious people, strapping them to a table saw and then like hoisting a semi-nude woman onto the ceiling of the structure. I mean, it's Tuesday. Come on.
Oh, okay. I have another question. The like team of the fucking like pig mask Foot Clan. Are they in other movies, or is this the first time we've seen those?
Well, they're always other people. Like he really does kind of have this almost cult of people who we'll just a full blown we'll just help him with this stuff.
You need a full blown like event team to pull off these things.
Yes.
You need a crew of like 20 people and city permits to do most of this stuff.
How the fuck would you set this up, Clay? How would you set this up without any goddamn curtains over these fucking windows? I thought for sure it would establish that there was something in the way of people seeing it. Because for reasons I can't even begin to comprehend, other than the movie just needs it to happen, people start stop crossing in front of it and just look at it like, hey, what's going on here? And then
the visual
people
language of this
wake up.
movie the direction of this movie is incoherent, and the visual language is completely confusing. And I guess I don't know. If we stop to try and figure out the logic of every beat of this movie, we're going to be here till tomorrow. It's going to be as long as one of my damn shows. But I guess it's when the
do this, Clay, but
wake up.
This is the point of the show.
Oh no!
We just try to make sense of this shit. It is truly the worst thing we've ever come up with, Gina, is trying to make sense of a Saw movie, because it is incomprehensible that people were just like walking in front of this from the moment they got up and started their day until just before someone wakes up from their pig mask coma, and they're like, oh, blip, 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 blip. And then they're like, hey, is something going on here? Are these people chained to a 3-bladed device? Maybe I should pay attention. And so, dudes start waking up.
And this is the best scene of the movie.
It's
by the
real
way,
steep decline.
I think this is the scene, the only scene in the whole movie that I had fun with was this scene.
So let's meet Brad and Brian. That's right, folks. If you haven't noticed already, this film has a real B name issue, because you've got Brad, Brian, and Bobby. Mm-hmm. And so why they named these two guys in this triangle relationship, both named B's, I don't know. But I'm pretty sure someone speed ran through the writing of this screenplay. So I guess we just have to deal with it. So Brad and Brian are two guys just like you and me, only they're chained up to a massive 3-headed saw blade machine. And I have to assume by the matching overalls that they're wearing that they're either local fishermen or part of a dance troupe trying to save the local youth center for being torn down to make way for condos.
Well, sure, but Patrick, it's even funnier than that, because clearly they are like dressed up to look like they are mannequins in this, hardware supply company display. Yeah. And I like that he went and got matching. Jigsaw went and bought matching fucking overalls for this to make it look like they were representatives of this company.
I mean,
this display.
He's kidnapped these people. He's rendered them unconscious. And he's like, I don't know, what says construction worker to me? And he gets 2 matching sweaters, like this one's too tight, this one's too big. It just they need to be fitted well for my aesthetic tastes. So above them is a young lady named Dina. And when her curtain comes off, that is the first time I'm like, they put a curtain on her, but not the 2 unconscious guys? How did the curtain come off? Are you telling me he rigged a fucking curtain to come off? Like, that's the stage managed within an inch of its life.
I was going to say that's the reveal that you have a problem with, the way everything else is timed in this movie.
Everything else works, Gina.
Like everything the marionette coming out on the tricycle. That wasn't implausible to you.
How can anyone else see the marionette? It's behind the table. That's bad stage management, Gina. Half the people in the audience can't see that fucking puppet. Come on.
Is there a speaker system? Can the people outside the box hear what the puppet is saying?
Yes, it is being broadcast. There is a slight echo to the audio.
Here's the thing about these movies that cracks me up. I know, Patrick, we've talked about this before, possibly in the first one we did for this. So, like, Jigsaw's whole shtick is punishing people that he perceives as having bad morals. They've done something bad, but he has a very vast and varied list of sins that people have committed. Like,
he's extremely judgmental.
Yes. Right. In part 6, was it part 6 where he had the guy who was the pedophile?
Right. Well, that might have been 4.
That was 4. That was 4 because 4. Okay, because 6 was the medical insurance company that kept turning down like cancer patients and stuff like that. So that's bad. But then, like in 4, you also have him punishing somebody because he's a workaholic.
Yeah.
And then and Jigsaw's literally like, you should have spent more time with your wife. Like, and then this one, it's like, oh, well, you guys are in a love triangle and you don't realize it. And it's like,
Yeah.
all right, who gives a shit? Who gives a fuck? How is this like morally wrong to other people? It's like you what are you, Jigsaw, the Catholic Church? I mean, come on.
But I guess it's technically not. It's not Jigsaw. It's not whatever his name is, Crane. Is it who's doing this one?
It's
Hoffman?
It's Hoffman, which is like, it's like, okay, but they didn't do anything to you either. Right. What is the point of you punishing someone because they got played by the same woman?
So
the two dudes didn't do anything wrong.
No, that doesn't seem to be fair to me either. Although I do love, I mean, like I said, this is my favorite. There's a humorous irony to this one that I enjoyed that is completely devoid from the rest of the movie. But was Hoffman doing this one, or was Cary Elwes and his pigs? They are just responsible for what happens in the sanitarium with Bobby Bubby, right?
No, they're not responsible for any of that. They
None of
only
it.
come into
it's
play.
It's just Hoffman doing all of this.
Oh, not only that, but to a certain degree, the vast majority of it is planned for Hoffman by Jigsaw in advance.
Oh, okay.
So there are just the amount of planning going into every single one of these stupid fucking games is asinine. It just is incredible. And Gina, you're absolutely right. The sliding scale of what is wrong with somebody before they get put in one of these traps goes from pedophile, police corruption, destroying the healthcare industry, to, I don't know, she shouldn't be dating two guys at the same time. What the fuck? Like, we have really lowered our goddamn standards here to just like casual romantic liars. I'm pretty sure their just desserts are going to happen. I don't need bloodshed from these fucking people. That is just goddamn crazy town.
Is it possible that Jigsaw has just been so effective in his crusades here that he's taking care of every truly bad person?
Right. He's down to this.
They're all the way they talk about it on the news. And again, I don't know at what part in this series the lid got blown off of Jigsaw, but Jigsaw is like the topic of most news programs. Like, there's been some sort of a Jigsaw plague that has swept the world.
It's an industry town, Clay. Jigsaw is the biggest thing in Sawsville, USA. They don't have anything. They don't have a sports team. They don't have local political intrigue. They've got a police department with fewer and fewer and fewer and fewer cops, because in every movie he kills a dozen goddamn cops. So I don't know how they fucking recruit. And then you have whomever is left, which at this point is two local fishermen and the chick they're both banging. Like, we have run out of things to be upset about at this point.
Just going through is like, there's no more pedophiles.
I killed
Are
them
you
all?
sure I got all of them?
There's got to be a couple more, right? Like,
all right. Well, this girl's a tease. I guess it'll have to do.
How about any some wife beaters? We got wife beaters. No? Jesus. All right. a little too efficient, I guess. Yeah.
Like, is there anyone cheating on their property taxes? Like, what's going on? So, I have to give it up to one character here. And this crowd is just full of people desperately trying to be the main character in every frame. But there's one woman who bravely attempts to break the glass with her leather briefcase, and is the weakest attempt at saving one. And everyone else in the crowd just stares.
Yeah, I find it hard to believe that in that crowd of maybe 100 people, not a single person has a firearm somewhere.
Well, that's the thing. You know who arrives who have plenty of fucking firearms? The goddamn police. And you know what they do? Keep the crowd away from the glass.
They probably assume that it's a bunch of pedophiles in there. They're like, let's just see how this plays out. And they find out later, really embarrassed.
I mean, they did something. It's, the Jigsaw.
Yeah. In earlier movies, is there ever like a movie? Obviously he's good at converting, peons to kind of help him achieve his means. But is there like a cult that's like celebrates Jigsaw as this like great vigilante or anything? Or like, is it like the Saw movies where suddenly people are all dressing up like Ghostface? Like, do people like dress up like the Jigsaw marionette for Halloween or anything? Or is it all just totally siloed?
It hasn't happened in the ones we have seen yet.
Yeah.
But I would not be shocked if either we just haven't seen it yet or it's in one of the later ones, because that absolutely sounds like something they would do.
It sounds like something they should do. That's the whack ass thing. So it is pretty wild that they haven't done it, at least to the point we've seen it. Who knows? Who can even say? Because we haven't seen them all. And Jesus Christ, Gina, what are we going to do when we have? What are we going to do when we
That's
have?
a lot. Well, that's going to be a while. I mean, there are like 10 of these fucking things. And they just announced another goddamn one with Tobin Bell.
Yeah.
Gonna find some because he has 80,000 hours of recorded material talking as this character
from the file of Jigsaw. So here we go. We get a title card, and then we go back to Saw 6, where Mrs. Saw, or Jill, whatever, finally does something. She puts Detective Sausage Roll in a reverse bear trap, which he managed to get out of by wedging the jaws of it in between the bars of a window. And of course, you're saying to yourself, why would there be bars on this door? I'm sure, Clay, is what you're asking.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you something.
Have we seen those bars on that door in a previous Saw?
A good portion of that sequence has happened in the previous movie, which we covered last year. Now, I don't know if you're sitting fully on the seat or you're just using the edge, but I need you to make sure that your socks do not fly off your feet when I tell you where they are. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Clay, they're in an underground zoo.
All right. Wait a minute. They're in an underground facility on a zoo property, or they are in a zoo that is entirely
primarily underground. This is an old abandoned underground zoo. And why would you abandon an underground zoo? I don't know. It's fucking Sawsville, USA, Canada. I don't know what their fucking industry is. But
it is a testament to the production design in this movie that it takes place in an abandoned sanitarium, various police buildings, an underground zoo, but every room is identical to the next room, and you have no idea where you are at any given moment.
Right. Just everything is green and rusty.
Part of this movie could take place in space, and it would be a nondescript room with gray walls.
There's only one place it could. If they went to space, it would have to be on the Nostromo, just simply because it has to be somewhere where there's steam, it's green, and it's wet. And so...
And it's a set they're borrowing from another production.
Yes, exactly.
To save money.
Listen, the way they reuse sets, we're going to get to it because I think I found the fucking mother lode. But we will get to this. So it turns out that Detective Hamhawk was able to stop the reverse bear trap by sticking it in between those bars, and he only gets part of his face ripped off, which you would think would hold you back as a murderer, with a giant face injury and a gash on your hands for some fucking reason. But it turns out that Jill, despite running awkwardly in heels past racks and racks and racks of maintenance coveralls, she's able to hide from this fucker amongst the many maintenance coveralls. And he goes off to another location, like a hippie you're not supposed to follow. And as a result, he carries the bear trap with him in what appears to be, it's covered in barbecue sauce. That's the only way I can describe the blood in this movie.
Well, that's the thing.
It's like movie blood. It looks like barbecue sauce.
Did we mention that this is in 3D? Yeah, you did mention at the beginning of the
I watched it in 3D.
Yeah, you watched it in 3D. I did not. I watched it on Hulu. Now I could obviously tell what parts were meant to be in 3D. Sure. And you can also tell that the way the blood was shot is supposed to be, enjoyed, if you want to call it that, in the miracle of 3-dimensional technology, because the blood is kind of a weird shade of pink.
It's very odd. I don't know what went wrong here, or it's a color timing thing.
It was color timing to make it look so it would come out dark, because they expected it would come out darker in 3D.
Oh, yeah, sure. That is an actual fucking explanation that I'm willing to accept. At least we would know, like, okay, unforeseen circumstances. It's not just because it's so fucking cheap that you can see the seams and motherfuckers' costumes throughout this entire movie. It's just, everything about it seems like it's been rushed. Like everyone gets an extra 20 in their paycheck if we get done by 6. That's the whole movie feels like that.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. If they get done by 6, they make a whole $40, huh?
That's right. Detective London Broyle stitches up his own face like a real Itchy the Killer. And
he's totally calm. I mean, he's got this like gash from like his ear to like the corner of his mouth, and he's just like, stitching time saves 9, and just like, he doesn't care. He's fine.
For the first half of the movie, he doesn't even really clean off his face, which I think is a problem. You need to clean that up. Otherwise, that crazy scar you got going across there, that's going to get infected. That's going to turn pink and raw.
Especially when you're just walking around like a sewer tunnel the entire movie.
Sure. But he's got things to do, baby. And so luckily for us, the Sawsville PD are going to give us something completely new, Gina. Something we've never seen before. Another cop character. That's right. We got a new one, baby. He looks like all the other ones, only this one is named Gibson, and he's played by Final Destination's Chad Donella, still rocking that weird Long Island accent, despite the fact he's making movies almost exclusively in Canada. Jill Chad really wants to come clean to the Sawsville PD. And she asks for Gibson for reasons we do not know, and we will never find out. But he's sent in there, and she's like, I want immunity. And he's like, you can't just ask for immunity. You have to give things up before that even happens. Now, I'm no lawyer, but if you are looking to get immunity for your many crimes and participation in other crimes, I would say rule number 1 is do not talk to the police about said crimes until the DA signs on the bottom fucking line. Gina, you work in the law business on occasion.
That's generally like if you say I have information, yet you don't say anything until you have an actual agreement in hand.
Yeah. No. But he's like, come on. I'm going to ask nice. Come on, with this weird New York accent. And then finally Jill goes, all right, I know who it is. It's Detective Porterhouse. And he's like, what? Yeah, he's like the only other fucking cop left alive in this whole fucking department. Of course it's him.
Well, there's Rogers as well. He's still alive for the time being. But it seems like Kroger Ryan Gosling really has it out for Hoffman.
Yes. And we will find out why later on in the movie, amongst the dozen or so flashbacks that the film gives us instead of story or plot. But we then cut to said Detective Porterhouse, and he's burning the fakest IDs I've ever seen because they're twice as large as they need to be so that you can read the type on them. And then he's burning them in a pan. Is he fucking serving them tableside? Why are you burning shit in a pan? You weld nonstop. You're telling me you're burning your license in a fucking pan?
He's like he's testing those you made for that's only sold on TV special frying pans and nothing sticks to them.
Sure. You can do anything to it and it's still nonstick. You can burn your ID so they can't follow you and prosecute you for your crimes. But speaking of crimes, like the gambler once said, you got to know when to hold them and you got to know when to fold them. And you would think with half of your face ripped off and you burning IDs in a pan like a fucking psycho, it's time to pull out. But no, Hoffman goes into a safe where we see stacks and stacks of cash, which you would need in order to buy these fucking supplies that he's using. But instead, he pulls out a file and goes, time to go to work, baby. Like, does he earn more money the more people he kills? Is he in this for the money or is he in this for love of the game, Clay?
I don't know why those are mutually exclusive. I think I feel like people who are good at what they do, people who are passionate about what they do are good at it, and they deserve to be compensated in a consumer manner. I just keep looking at. I just have the IMDb open here. We keep talking about Hoffman, and Patrick, you've come up with so many hilarious monikers for this man. But his real name is like the name of like an Elden Ring character. Costas Mandalore with a Y is just one of the most fucking like The Witcher names I've ever seen. I can't stop staring at it. Like I feel like if I stare at it long enough, it'll make sense, but it hasn't happened yet.
It probably
much like a Saw movie.
I think the reason we don't bring up Costas Mandalore's name more often is the fact that it's the most interesting thing about him. And everything after the fact is that he's just like this porchetta in a business suit running around killing people. And it's just wild to me that after what he's just gone through, he's like, you know what? I can't stop now. I'm juggling too many things. And it brings up something that I think we talked about briefly in the last Saw episode, Gina, and that is if you have these big games, why are you doing this piddly ass shit like sawing a love triangle in half? Like, why waste your time with that shit if you're going after big game where there's like 4 different rooms and giant, you're building an oven ad hoc. Like, when does he have time to do this shit? I tried to organize my junk drawer today. I only got halfway through that shit, Gina. He's really efficient with his time.
Well, I also, how does he know that these people are engaged in some sort of, love triangle? Right. At least, some of the people in some of the Saw movies, he had a personal connection to them. Like I dare to say that his motivations in Saw 6 were somewhat understandable because he got turned down. He needed some sort of like radical treatment for his cancer, and this health insurance company turned him down, which is obviously a real thing that happens to people.
Yeah.
So, that made sense that he would, want his revenge on the people who made this decision. But, and obviously anybody would want to, torture a pedophile because pedophiles deserve to be tortured. But, it's like, would he overhear this woman, making 2 dates in the same night with, like Jack Tripper or something, and he's like, well, that's a bad girl, she needs to be punished, and finally puts together a dossier on this whole complicated bullshit between a bunch of 20-year-olds when that's the time you're supposed to get involved in these stupid bullshit love triangles, and that now he has to I'm gonna punish you for this, like strapping you to a table saw.
It's like he read about it like a rumor on MySpace. And he's like, I'm bookmarking this because these people have to pay.
Yeah, it's like, it's like, okay, where's the personal connection here? What is this?
They've run out of that. They've run out of this shit. This is literally, it feels like a movie that's a legal requirement. Everyone signed that they would do it and like, oh shit, we need to make a movie.
It's almost Halloween again.
Oh my God. We've got to get this shit in theaters and in 3D. So, to wit, meet Bobby. He's on a book tour touting his story of survival from winning a game with Jigsaw. And I'm going to guess that he has a deep, dark secret that's going to cause multiple people around him to die in horrible ways. Now, that's just a guess. We'll have to see if that comes to fruition. But why there are so many people in this television studio sitting right next to union camera guys, I will never fucking know. It's almost as like no one in this movie has been on a TV set, which I find hard to fucking believe. But this is not how you sit around and watch people make television. I hate to break the veil for everyone else, but this movie is fake as fuck.
No. Yeah. What?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Gina.
Yeah, there isn't a robust section of the credits for consultants on this.
No, there isn't.
Local TV production consultancy has really hit the skids here.
My favorite part about the scene, though, is he's telling you the story of his survival, and telling us very vivid story about being strapped up by by his pectoral muscles, that's not going to come up again later in the movie. I guess nobody ever asked to see scars or anything like that. They're just completely taking his word for this, that he survived. Also, what does survive stand for? Because it's an acronym for the name of this book.
I wrote down the same thing.
I don't know either.
It's obviously an acronym. No one ever reveals what the solution is. But what does that fucking stand for?
The talk show hostess is very upset that when he tells his his lurid tale of survival, that he neglects to bring his wife out so he can give her a kiss. And it's like, but that's what the audience wants to see. And it's like, no, I'm pretty sure the audience wants to hear the lurid story about how he survived an encounter with Jigsaw.
Yeah, you don't just invite people to your interview in the middle of it. Like, come on out, honey. That's not really the way TV interviews work. But again,
I have it.
Oh, okay.
I typed in "survive Saw 3D."
Yes.
Oh no.
There's a page for this book on the Saw wiki, the fandom Saw wiki.
Oh, good.
It only appears in Saw 3D.
Mm-hmm.
Its purpose was to gain wealth and fame by publishing this fabricated story surviving. Its status is inanimate. So this is all good information.
I love it.
But it does. There is like 3 or 4 paragraphs about this book on the wiki, but it does have what each letter of the acronym stands for.
I'm keeping my shoes on because I don't want my socks to fly off. Hit me, Clay.
Okay. And honestly, I think just by... I don't even think you need to read the book. I think really just by knowing what the letters in this acronym stand for, it could really change your life. Okay, so this is S, start your life anew.
Oh, wait, whoa. That's not an acronym. Those are whole fucking sentences.
No, this is like that song, L is for the way you look at me. This is a sweaty acronym. So S is start your life anew.
Sure, check.
U, understand your problems.
Okay.
R, redefine your priorities.
Oh God.
This is the real triumph here. V, verify your self-worth through commitment.
Verify? That is sweaty as shit. Yeah.
Your self-worth through commitment. I, ignore your detractors. V, value your loved ones. And E, embrace every day as if it is your last.
Oh my God.
So
why not just come
so
up
wait,
with
so wait, this is actually
words?
like a self-help book then? And not like a book about like his experience?
It's both.
Oh,
it's
good
both,
Lord.
Gina. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. There's literally 8 paragraphs about this
Oh, we
book.
love the wikis. We love the wikis because it's pretty much all made up. Like this is not like lore from the movies. People just make this stuff up. We relied a lot on it for when we did our run on Friday the 13th, which people lovingly would give the characters, they would give their characters their parents' names, even though the parents are never like this character who has 2 lines of dialogue was born to Mr. and Mrs. Schmelden Schmeckel and also would say they were buried at Mount Pleasant Cemetery. None of that was in the movie.
No, I mean, my favorite thing this is when I knew our podcast was getting popular, because once upon a time in the Friday the 13th wiki, someone had put in for all the couples who had died that they were buried not next to one another, but on top of one another.
They were just tossed. They were tossed in the casket together.
Just one after the other. Why give them 2 plots when you can just put one of them on top of the other for the rest of their natural born deaths?
Look, I'll say one thing. If there's one thing that I know about people who edit these wiki pages, that they are clearly verifying their self-worth through commitment.
And they are living each day as if it's their last.
And ignoring their detractors, namely us, for the most part.
I'm not sure they understand their problems, though. They may have skipped that chapter.
So I guess that kind of explains that when eventually Bobby goes through his 4 trap runs, there's these scrawled messages on the board, and I do remember ignore your detractors. I'm like, what the fuck is that from? It's from his fucking book, but the movie has no time to tell you that. It's just, you would have to dream it up. So, okay, sure, why not? Oh my God. Here's the good thing about watching this in 3D, because now everyone's in focus and you can really see how much business is happening in the background to really make that 3D worth it. And the people in this television taping are acting. It is, no one told them that they were going to be on camera. Everyone feels that they are the main character in this story, and their facial expressions are telling you every thought going through their head. So we go from this to Jill. Jill is having a Freddy nightmare, complete with a tricycle. And then out of nowhere, outside of the Sawsville PD station, Dr. Footlong kidnaps Jill. And changes her from her outfit into a pink mini dress for reasons, nipples. And
I was going to say, he made sure to take that bra off before he redressed her.
She goes from broad to braless, but I mean, I hate to be crude, but if we're bringing Betsy Russell to the table, let's bring all of Betsy Russell to the table. And so she is chained up in the wildest fucking setup where there are train tracks with a mine cart that has a 4-sided blade on it. And she just is chained up to be quartered by this steam train blade. And then she wakes up from a very obvious dream. And this is the best part. And again, you may want to grasp your socks for this. On Jill's nightstand, there is a white wine in a red wine glass, 2 open bottles of pills, and a framed photo of her and her murderer husband, Gina.
This little sweetheart photo of Jigsaw.
Remember us when you only murdered 1 or 2 people a month, not the onslaught of death that came later? Like, why would you have a framed photo of your killer husband?
Well, I mean, he didn't kill her.
No, he killed almost everyone else in town. Clay, what murderer is on your bedside table?
Well, I'll tell you who's not my ex-husband. No,
He knows what he did.
Yeah, he knows what he did. And it wasn't nothing unrelated to the many murders. I don't like to have framed photos on my bedside table. I mostly keep those in the office, but I have lots of murderers in there. So it's
well, listen, you gotta. That's what makes the house
all the good ones. I'm kind of a basic bitch.
Speaking of, cut to the late Chester Bennington. Thank goodness, with the time he had on Earth, this is how he spent it. He's playing a gentleman named Evan, who, unlike every victim we've seen, is receiving his instructions not by mini cassette or VHS, but this time via 8-track cassette. Gina,
I love it. I love how many different, like, just the recording device enthusiast that John Kramer is. I just picture like a warehouse just full of reel-to-reels and 8-track recorders and mini recorders and MP3 players.
Yeah.
And just all this zooms. Yeah. Just
this movie needs more zooms.
Has anybody in one of these movies ever received their game instructions via a Zoom? A Zune, rather.
Fingers crossed for
Spiral. I want that, and I want y'all remember those Fisher Price cassette players where like there was like you could throw them downstairs. That was like how sturdy they were. They were like brown. He's gonna have one of those, like the chunky microphone like the little kids sing into, and it's just full of all these different recording devices.
Why have they never done? So then my joke was going to be about doing like a wax cylinder, but then that made me think, why have they never done like a prequel? And Jigsaw is part of this like tradition going back generations of insane Rube Goldberg machine murderers, and there's some like steampunk like 1895. Played by Tobin Bell.
With a handlebar mustache.
With a handlebar mustache, and everything is like steam powered and whatever. Like that would be.
We need more people getting their instructions delivered to them by Victrola.
Hello, Josephus. You stole Mrs. Johnson's cow.
We need a Saw movie set during Reconstruction. I don't know how that hasn't happened yet.
Jebediah, you delivered the wrong amount of hay. Reverend Pennyworth, you delivered soup to people in need. That soup was watered down. Now you'll have to wonder, did I do the right thing as you try not to drown? Like, come on, man.
You stopped accepting credit at the Cracker Barrel.
Oh, my God. So let's get back to poor Chester. Evan is a racist skinhead. So I guess this is the feel-good portion of the movie. Again, I am fine with all these people dying, right? But also, where is the tension? Like, do I give a fuck if 4 racist fuckers die? Like, it's neat to see people run over and everything, but there's no tension. Like, they start the clock at 30 seconds. I'm like, you might as well start it at 4. I don't care. I don't care about any of these people.
I was so disoriented. This is like 40 minutes into the movie. It felt like it. It could have been the third scene. I have no idea. But that was, at this point in the movie, I was still so disoriented that I was pretty sure this was a flashback from a previous movie.
It might as well. It might as well have been. It might as well have been.
But this needs to happen so that the police are distracted by it. But I guess. Yeah. I don't know. It just why? So Evan has 30 seconds to peel himself off of the car seat that he's glued to before him and these 3 other people die in the fakest ways possible. So their CGI guts splash all over the screen. So he can't, even though he's spitting as hard as he can, he's unable to peel his back off. A car lands on a lady's face. The car pulls a guy's arms and jaw off, and it runs through the other guy. That third guy gets it the best. because there's no torture to it. He's just strapped to a garage door. And then at the end of it, Evan, he goes through one broken windshield into another broken windshield, which I guess answers the question. Does he even die? I assume he dies.
It seems like he could have survived that.
I think between a combination of blood loss and, how long it might take the authorities to get there and do anything about it, it does seem to be that he does die.
Right. They're still in the town square throwing briefcases at that glass wall.
Sure, right. They can't even break through that glass right now. Man. So yeah, I guess that happens because they needed something to happen. So now we cut to Bobby's support group meeting, which takes place inside the husk of an abandoned church. What? Why would you go to an abandoned church for a support group meeting, Gina?
Yeah, I mean, whatever people are left over that Jigsaw hasn't murdered, apparently, they've left town and let the town be blown up in a nuclear blast because everything just looks the dreariest, the most desolate. It's hardly ever daylight.
I mean, this should be a ghost town. I don't know where that first scene takes place in the logic of as you call it, Sawsville. But if this city has had some industrious madman slaughtering any citizen who's committed a slight infraction, I feel like I'd move. I feel like everybody should have fucked off from this town.
Right. Like earlier in the year, there was a lot of people wondering why anyone would stay in Gotham City. And you go, okay, yeah, I can kind of see it. But I think the greater question is, why in the hell would anyone stay in Sawsville, USA, Canada? It is truly dire.
Every night on the news, just like, well, Jigsaw killed a few more people.
It's just like a running turn. It's like a running ticker with today's lottery numbers. Today's Jigsaw related deaths 37.
Why they have never begun a teaser for the next Saw movie with a population sign that's just ticking down.
Days without Jigsaw related death, 0.
So yeah, Bobby, apparently there are people in this sequence who were in other Saw movies. I didn't recognize one of them.
There was the one woman who cut her arm off. I think she was in 6, I think. But that's all I remember. They really rely on and maybe that is part and parcel with these being released every fucking year for 10 years straight, that they really rely on people having an encyclopedic knowledge of who the 68 characters in these movies are and how they're connected to the story and whether or not what you're seeing is happening in this timeline or that timeline, and it's all part of the tediousness of this series is how unnecessarily complicated the storyline is.
Yeah, it's just there's just filled with plot and almost no story. It's just a real weird way to do a movie. But at this point, it's an industry. They decided this is what people want, so that's what they're going to give them. So Bobby is A, filming all of this inside the Wolfen Church, and B, telling someone that this is a, quote, safe space. Bitch, have you heard of tetanus? Look around you. So, I'm not sure how one books an abandoned church, but the whole point of this is Bobby's going to give a motivational speech and then do the one thing his agent wanted him to do, which is call up his wife to give him a big smoochy poo on camera. And then out of the mists, we get a slow clap. That's right, baby. It's Dr. Larry. And I don't think Dr. Larry was being honest when he congratulated Bobby on his promotional DVD.
That's the best line in the movie. I mean, the two best parts of the movie are Tobin Bell going full "How do you do, fellow kids," and then this part where Cary Elwes just, I don't know if anybody has ever devoured and luxuriated in a line as much as he does in, like, we're all honored to be included in your promotional DVD. Your promotion.
Yeah, and it's like, is this supposed to be? Are we not supposed to know that he's going to, turn out to be a bad guy? Because boy, oh boy, they not do a good job of that.
It's really, really bad. But if you are the main character, like if you're the guy who keeps showing up in this movie, you are a bad guy because you're going to get punished. That's just the way these fucking things work. I don't know why they should pick more obvious bad people instead of revealing over time that they're bad. Like at least 6 had a real shit heel from the moment go. And then you're just like making that shit heel's life bad. But also they're like, well, shit heel's wife and kid need to die. I'm like, no, they don't. They're not. No, they don't. It's a real weird philosophy in these fucking Saw movies.
It's a shame that nobody ever got a chance to really sit down Jigsaw and have a real philosophical debate about what he's been doing.
Yeah.
Sounds like you could have gotten to the bottom of it. I'm glad that I had the benefit of never having seen one of these movies before. So I didn't really know that it was a trope that one of the main characters or one of the people who keep showing up is going to be in league with Jigsaw or acting as a proxy for Jigsaw. So I just really thought that that Cary Elwes, when he went away for 50 minutes of the movie, was really, I was like, oh, they just brought him in for one weird scene, huh? Okay. Good for Cary Elwes.
Remember this guy?
Yeah. So I gotta say, the twist at the end got me. I didn't have expectations set up.
Yeah, see, if you had seen even just one other, you would have known. Yeah, he's been helping him the whole time.
They're forever tainted from now on for you, but because you were going to enjoy them all in a binge after this.
Right,
so,
rats.
Gina, did you drink when you saw the obvious eater inside the coroner's office?
I was like, yes, okay. This makes it all worthwhile.
Something for me, baby. Bring it to mama. I need an eater in a coroner's office.
Need somebody eating a hoagie over a corpse.
I'm not sure if that's the same coroner that revealed Jigsaw's taint in Saw 4, but I'd like to think so.
Oh yeah, you could have. But you could have gotten it worse. You could have gotten the one where we get full frontal Jigsaw. That was part 4.
If you ever wanted to see his wang, finally the Saw movies give it to you. But Gibson gets a call from his partner Rogers, who has found the 4 dead racists. And Gibson over the phone yells, "Get everyone away from that crime scene." Why? Like, none of you fuckers have ever found anything that links anyone to any of these murders. You suck at it. I've never been so mad at one of these movies as I was then. Like, you're not so good at this. They would have called you into any one of the other dozen and dozens and dozens of murders at this point if you were so fucking good at this. But no. Why them? Why now? Why the fuck
and
not?
Also, this guy's not, he identifies himself as internal affairs. Like, why is he investigating this case at all?
Because they've run out of homicide detectives in Sawsgiving PD.
Yeah, he's doing
killed everyone else.
Yeah, he's doing double duty in the traffic department at the same time. So, because he's just killed everybody. You gave me
a crossing guard.
You gave me a parking. You gave me a parking ticket.
So, Gibson tells a coroner's assistant to, quote, "get these bodies back to the coroner's office." Like, no shit. What, was going to run a fucking pizza delivery order in between this? Yeah, that's what he fucking does, is pick up bodies and takes them to the coroner's. Like, that's his job description. Meanwhile, Rogers, gloveless, turns on a light switch. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. Why did you take off your gloves to touch the crime scene? It turns out Detective Jigsaw has left his bear trap and barbecue sauce behind. And then Gibson starts touching shit without his fucking gloves on. No one understands how CSI works. It's fucking insane. Anyways, Bobby he wakes up inside of a cylindrical cage. And this is where I have to ask, Gina, where the fuck does Hoffman get all this iron from?
I don't know. Like, at what point was Hoffman shown how to build these traps? Because he does not. He does
we
not
never see him weld once.
Yeah, he seems to operate largely under brute strength, and is not particularly portrayed to be smart or savvy or good with his hands. I mean, he's so clumsy in sneaking up on people that, you have to assume that they have headphones on and can't hear him coming. But
are we 1,000% sure that it's not Carrie Elwes doing the Bobby House of Horrors? Because that makes so much more sense to me. He's got like a team that we see. Mm-hmm. He's got his clan. We know that he said that he was honored to be included in Bobby's thing, but as we suspect, we think that may have been sarcastic. And so he's the one who has a connection to Bobby. And it seems like if he was like the original acolyte of Jigsaw, he would kind of be the one who's most insulted or whatever by Bobby lying about an encounter with Jigsaw. And then it seemed like mostly what Hoffman was trying to do was get at Jill with the replacing one of the bodies of the racist to get into the cop. Like I was under the assumption the entire movie that once it was revealed that Elwes was doing stuff, that he was kind of in charge of the House of Horrors, unless I totally just missed something.
No, this is all planned in advance by Jigsaw, and the plans then given to Hoffman. And
oh my God, whenever that was revealed, I was looking away from the screen, I guess.
This is all shit we've picked up over time. It is not explained within the context of the movie at all. The other thing that you don't know about Tobin Bell's character is that he was an architect. And we know this because in one of the movies, he's featured on the cover of Architect Today.
I almost forgot about that.
I know. Listen, there are certain things that are just live on in my mind, and the sight of Tobin Bell on the cover of Architect Today is looking like cigar aficionado is amongst them.
Clay, would you like to know what triggered all of this extremely elaborate death planning and murdering in John Kramer's life? Would you like to know?
I suppose so.
His wife had a miscarriage.
Oh,
that's it. That's it. I mean, I don't mean to minimize.
I guess that'll do it.
I don't mean to minimize the pain and tragedy of a miscarriage, but I think it's a common enough experience that if everybody went out and killed because of it, you'd have a serious population problem within about 6 months.
Yeah.
That's
it is.
To clarify, she is accidentally hit with a door by a drug seeking burglar, and this causes the miscarriage, and basically John Kramer's brain just like snaps into two, and he never recovers.
Yeah. And as a result, like truly hundreds of people die in the most over elaborate ways possible. And I just don't know what the welding budget is. Like, we have in the past wondered, does he buy his knockout gas in bulk? But truly, like, to weld shit together requires materials and the propane gas necessary to weld shit together. And I can't imagine Hoffman is able to do that. It doesn't make any fucking
You think
sense.
they'd be able to track the gas delivery, the propane delivery bills back to wherever Hank Hill drives up and drops off his monthly supply?
Yes. Well, and at a certain point, they just start investigating underground layers. Just do a sweep of all the underground layers, and eventually you will find enough of these fucking traps to shut this shit down. Okay. We got to get to a flashback here. It's been too long. So in this flashback of Bobby, we appeared to be in an ad for the worst wig shop in Canada because everyone is rocking the worst piece of all time on top of their noggin, not just on their head, on top. Bobby watches a former victim of Jigsaw on television, and the guy next to him says, man, if you weren't so fucked up afterwards, someone could make some serious money talking about their experiences. And then a light bulb goes off in Bobby's head. And he's like, ha ha, I got me an idea. And then flash forward, Bobby wanders into, I don't know where this is. I guess this is underneath that abandoned church, or Clay, you seem to think it was part of an insane asylum.
Well, they say the building where all of Bobby's team, his publicist, etc., and the wife, the whole end, they say at some point in some passing line of expositional dialogue that they're at some abandoned insane asylum.
Okay.
All right, like sure. Gibson figures that out. He's like, oh, they're at the abandoned insane asylum, and then that's how they run over there, and I don't know, that's why I kept referring it to as that. They don't do there's no establishing shots, there's no atmosphere, there's no way to there's nothing you can't really tell that it's an insane asylum.
You don't come to Saw for establishing shots. That is not something this film ever wants to deliver. We cut across town to Gibson and Jill, in which Gibson in one scene calls Jill crazy, not once, not twice, 6 fucking times.
Oh, this movie loves calling Jill all kinds of C words.
Yes.
This scene has the distinction of being perhaps the worst acted scene of the movie.
Well, I think it's in competition with the very next part, because Gibson's partner, I don't know, wanders in and says, Gibson, this DVD was just delivered here for Jill.
Oh, okay, hold on. But this is the punchline to this joke where she's like, I'm worried they're going to find us. And Gibson is like, it's a safe house. It's a safe house. Don't you understand? It's safe. It's a safe house. It's safe. Oh my God, you crazy, 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 crazy. And he walks out, and the girls immediately like, they know where we are.
They know where they are. They sent a guy over in the world's oldest tercel with this DVD, which was my experience of everything being delivered to my house here in the industry. Before the internet eliminated that from contention. So they decide, let's take Jill back to the police station. Like, why did they even move her in the fucking first place? I'll never know. Cut back
again. The way the production design is, I fully thought they were still in the police station until he said we're in a safe house.
No, every wall in Sawsville, USA is painted the same green. It's like the town only got one kind of paint, and like, well, what are you going to paint this wall? Green. Well, what are you going to paint your baby's room? Green. What are you going to paint the cafeteria? Green. Everything's green. So they go back to the police station, and then Bobby wanders down a hallway to find his publicist Nina, and we're informed by Billy the Puppet that Nina has a key attached to a fish hook that is in her tum-tum, and Bobby will have to pull it out while she remains quiet. Otherwise, 4 poles will jab into her neck. These fuckers know how fish hooks work, right? Because the whole point of a fish hook is you can't pull it out of something because it's a hook.
My favorite part of this whole scene is, also like he's also an electronics designer, because if you raise your voice over a whisper, It'll speed the whole process up, and she'll die that much faster. And this woman cannot stop screaming for more than like, a nanosecond. And again,
Gina, if someone drags a fucking fish hook out of my tum-tum, I'm screaming too.
Well, no, but that's the thing. It's like, that's the problem with these movies for me. It's just, she's screaming. He's yelling at her to shut up. She's screaming. He's yelling at her. It's just like 95% of this movie is people just screaming. And it's like, I guess people enjoy that. I don't know. I mean, I realize that the idea of the primary reason people watch these movies is to watch people get their shit fucked up, and I get that, but just the shrillness level of these movies, as they're just like, get me out of here, I'm trying, get me out of here, I'm trying. It's just like, it's just so repetitive.
Truly.
Do people ever just like black out from shock? I feel like in lots of these situations, particularly that one, I feel like I would just go into like a shock blackout coma. I don't know.
Pass out. Yeah. Like there's one time, like I had my appendix burst inside my body, and they had me stand up to take an x-ray, and the world went white. Like I don't remember shit that happened after that. And that was just an organ saying, I'm very upset with you.
Right.
It was not someone dragging a goddamn fish hook out of my stomach. The only pleasure I got out of this entire sequence was the fact that the actress playing Nina here was also the principal in Disney's zombie musicals. And so I was like, oh, this is revenge. This makes sense to me. I had to sit through all three of those multiple times because my kid loves them. So that made it all worthwhile for me. No one else here, but just me.
This scene, and again, so this is my very first experience with the Saw movies. And like I said, I sort of liked that glass box, dark irony, the two guys who are part of the unaware love triangle teaming up to let the girl, like, that's kind of, it's very nihilistic, but it's sort of very, very darkly funny. The effect was good when she gets her guts cut open and her intestines are spilling out. Like that's all, it was brightly lit. And like you said, the blood is like candy colored, and it's all just like, I was like, oh, this is kind of gory, fun, practical effect. Neat. This is okay. This thing where there's no effect to it, there's no magic trick to it, there's no practical blood and guts, and it is just, as Gina said, people screaming and the slow pulling of the rope out of the throat. Like there's no pleasure to be derived from this. This is just deeply unpleasant. Yeah.
I don't know why Bobby pulls up his sleeves. You're not going to reach down her fucking throat, dude. And there's just the problem I have with a lot of this is that in these traps, there's no way to actually win. In my mind, a trap only works if there's a legitimate chance you could get out of it. Then there's some tension to it. But here, there's no fucking way he's going to be able to drag up that fish hook with a fucking key on it. And then he actually does. And he fumbles with the fucking lock. And then she dies. Give me a fucking break. It's stupid.
Yeah. Well, that's why that first kill is good, is because there is a solution. You have to make a choice. Someone's going to die, but there's a dramatic beginning, middle, and end to that scene, which makes it satisfying. Yeah, this kind of thing is just purely nihilistic.
So now we get another flashback, and here's the reason for the season, y'all. This is the scene that made me want to do this particular movie. And that is a flashback to Bobby's book signing, where Johnny Jigsaw shows up to attend this book signing, what appears to be a redressed Sawsville PD station set with paintings and a houseplant added, because it's the exact same setup. It's the same walls. It's the same corner. There's no different. They just redressed it. But the best part is that Johnny Jigsaw shows up in a backwards fucking ball cap and hoodie like he's attending a Nickelback concert later.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Are there intentional jokes in these movies, or
we've never seen one? We have not witnessed the intentional joke.
They're very humorless.
Why he's shown up in 5 shades of gray, I don't know. Even his jeans are too baggy. This man is in his 60s, for fuck's sake. Why does he look like he works for a moving van company and he just broke your most expensive lamp?
He's in his 60s, and he's also supposed to be fabulously wealthy.
Right, but he's soup's undercover, Gina. He's trying to hide because he's so famous from being on the cover of Architecture Today.
He's trying to fit in and look like a guy who would go to a book signing.
Right. And you don't want to wear something too tight or too form-fitting to a book signing. You want to keep it loose. You want to have as many gray layers as you could possibly have and make sure that it probably smells like a rotting pig head. That's my guess. Gina, who decided in the Saw, the conglomerate of real deep thinkers putting on these movies, that they should dress this man up like a teenager to go to a fucking book signing?
Part of me is he supposed to have had the cancer at this point?
Well, he's got a full head of hair by the looks of it because it's peeking out the back.
Okay.
Makes him look like the bassist from Puddles of Mud.
Because I thought maybe that just supposed to be, his clothes are too big now because he's lost a bunch of weight, and he's wearing the hat because he's losing his hair. Yeah. But it wouldn't surprise me if they were trying to do that and then just half-assed it, because a lot of this stuff is half-assed it.
Which is why they have redressed the police station as a bookstore without any fucking books in it, Gina.
I'm hoping that's just how Tobin Bell dresses, and they got all the way through the entire take, and nobody noticed that he hadn't been sent to wardrobe yet. And they were just said, fuck it.
Are you going to put me in a suit or something really? Am I going to wear a cloak or something like that? Actually, Tobin, what you have on works for us.
Tobin, you look great.
Let's pancake you and get you to set, baby. We don't want you shiny.
Actually,
everything has to be the same color.
Actually, Tobin, you're almost perfect. Can someone bring me some black gaff tape? We need to Greek out the FUBU logo, but otherwise you look great.
Let's turn that ball cap backwards because there's a Rip Curl logo.
Just pixelating the logo like they used to do, like the real MTV's The Real World.
Like he's on Cops. Oh my God. So it was worth it for that, y'all. Cut to Bobby's, I don't fucking know, lawyer. Anyways, she's caught in a machine where it raises her up like the Bride of Frankenstein and will pierce her eyes and mouth with sharp poles.
This one confused me. I didn't understand how this one worked at all.
I don't know either. So it keeps raising her. And the only way out of it is he has to lift up a squat machine. And you're thinking, well, I mean, it's very heavy, but you should be able to do this because, at least you're able to use your whole body. The difficulty is that there are 2 more sharp poles that are poking him on either side, the higher he lifts it up. And he has to lift it up to the point where there's a circuit breaker and it stops the electricity from going to the thing that will get her eyes with the poles. I'm sure there's a better way to explain that, but I don't have the
that's about right.
Anyways, he fucks it up. He fucks up everything. Again, someone should be able to fucking survive. Yeah. I just feel like if no one lives, then you're just waiting for people to die. And she didn't do anything other than take a job. We have really hit the bottom of the barrel for the reason for multiple people to die.
Well, I think that at least for the first three people, because there's a guy that pops up too, like one's his lawyer, one's his handler, which I don't know why a guy on the who wrote a self-help book needs a handler, but that they're in on it, that they know he's lying about this, but the wife doesn't. Because my favorite part about this scene with the wife is how she's arguing with him. I can't believe you lied to me. And this is something. Now, granted, this is a trope in a lot of action horror movies where a character is trying to stop in the middle of all this chaos to have an argument or a heart to heart with with their significant other or their parent, and nobody ever says, "Hey, can we talk about this later?"
Right.
So again, more screaming, back and forth.
There's this whole thing where Bobby's handler, his dirtbag friend Kale, gets blindfolded with a cable with a wench around his neck, and
they got really lazy on this death. The guy's like hung himself.
Yeah, and like he fucking would have made it, but one of the planks snaps that he's been guided. Like, that's not even fucking fair. Like, I just don't.
I liked that one though. That was one of my favorites, just because it was visually different. They actually had to build a new set to do right. I liked it actually was, that one was reminiscent to me of the escape room movies, which I have a soft spot for. I sort of enjoy the escape room movies.
I think the escape room movies are the right kind of junk version of this and actually show a lot more imagination.
Absolutely.
They're way more fantastical, and as a result, they're not quite as samey. And they're my kind of Saw movie, I guess, if we're going to put it that way. Or I guess they're all derivative of Cube in some way, shape, or form. But,
Cube and like Final Destination, too. Not that, it's a different, it's not a person exacting, setting up traps, but it is that same sort of Rube Goldberg. The point of the scene is, how are the mechanics of this thing going to unfold, to kill this person?
Yes, but I think in Final Destination, there's so much more imagination to them again.
God.
Yeah.
So much more.
The tragic backstory here is that behind Gibson being involved and why an IA detective is being placed in the middle of this murder investigation is that Hoffman killed an unhoused guy who jumped Gibson. And then this happened in an abandoned warehouse that has a name. Like, don't all abandoned buildings tied to dirty cops have names? I guess. Anyways, it's referred to as the Sunrise, and that's how he fucking finds it. And so this is where they find a different clue that might get Gibson closer to Hoffman, but it's all just fucking bullshit. Then we learn that Bobby, to be able to get to his wife, has to get past a door that has a 4-digit code, but the digits have been etched onto his molars, so that means he has to pull them out. And apparently, Gina.
So wait. Apparently, does Hoffman have a dentist drill?
Yeah, sure. Oh, don't we all have a spare dentist drill that we can just etch molars whenever we fucking feel like it?
I guess, sure.
I mean, Jesus Christ. And I guess his head is, I think the only reason he isn't bleeding full time is that his teeth are the only thing keeping blood inside his body. Because when he's trying to pull these out, and I'm not saying it isn't a bloody business pulling out a tooth, but it's literally like the SNL Julia Child sketch level of blood coming out of his mouth.
It's like just pouring out of his mouth.
It's like if he pulls a tooth that someone just presses the lever on an icy machine and it just pours blood out continuously out of his mouth. So this goes on for 5 fucking minutes of him pulling his goddamn teeth. And then
cinematic bliss.
Just what everyone, came to see.
Yeah.
But I think there's more blood of him pulling those teeth than the guy who had to peel his back skin off. It's a lot of blood. Speaking of, there's a fake wall back at that auto body shop. And as a result, they find one of Hoffman's many, many underground layers. And this is where I kind of had to wonder, does Hoffman have a deal with the local Best Buy? Because the amount of TV monitors he has to buy should send up red flags to somebody that he is a serial killer.
I mean, he's got deals with Best Buy. He's got deals with the local, Iron Forge.
Right. Yeah. And he's got that pipeline of knockout gas that he's using all
obviously and he's got a deal with the Home Depot for all those like chains and all those straps and hoists.
Look, that's how doers get more done.
So Bobby's wife is trapped with a chain around her ankles and her neck. And Bobby's then told that he will have to hoist himself up by his pectoral muscles, as he wrote about in his book, and connect two ends of an electrical cord to save his wife's life. Meanwhile, Detective Rib Roast has pulled a Michael Myers H2O, and he has swapped himself out for a corpse in a body bag to transport himself from one end of town to Sawsville PD, which is, I guess, a masterful stroke of genius. If it weren't for the fact that Sawsville PD is filled with many, many other armed police officers, but okay.
Yeah, sure. But I tell you what, Patrick, they have real soft skin under their chins.
True. And he's just sneaking around, his sock feet, apparently, even though he's like about 6'4", about 250, just like, oh, gotcha.
Tickle. And what is his deal with stabbing people underneath the jaw? Like, what? It's one thing to do it once. It's another thing to do it twice. But 4 fucking times is a lot of people stabbed under the jaw.
And I don't remember seeing the blade. I feel like Props forgot to bring the knife. And they're like, just make a fist and act like you have a knife. We'll just fold it.
It's a lot of sound effects and magic and illusion. So and meanwhile, back at the place that he set up, it's actually a trap, and Gibson and 2 other cops who were just doing nothing, they get gunned down by a maximum overdrive style automatic machine gun, which asks the is that the machine gun from Maximum Overdrive?
Just sitting in the back of a prop department somewhere.
Yeah, retired and brought out of retirement specifically to gun down 3 more people. Like he's pulled out of retirement.
I'm just imagining Vince Gilligan watching this movie and being like, yes, this is how I'll end my epic series. This scene has inspired me.
Yeah.
He picked up this machine gun from the military base down at Fort Saw.
He's like, wait a minute. Skinheads, automatic machine guns. I've got it. I've got the 5th season of Breaking Bad.
Who knew?
Thank you, Saw the final chapter.
You know what? It wouldn't put it past him. But there's a bunch of SWAT members who are, like every Saw movie that we've seen, doing dick all to save lives. They get gassed up in a fucking hallway, and who knows where that hallway is in that underground lair. And again, far be it from me to outthink the great Detective Jigsaw. But if I were Bobby, why wouldn't you just stand on the fucking hooks and haul yourself up?
Oh, hot
and
damn.
Then grab the cords and put them together. Why play by the fucking rules?
I mean, assuming that now, if you recall in part 4, what made that particularly incomprehensible was that we are watching 2 different things happening in 2 different timelines at the same time.
Yeah. Yes.
So, are we to assume that what is happening with Bobby is happening at the same time that Hoffman is, sieging this police station and kidnapping Jill, and nobody's actually watching to make sure Bobby does this, what he's told to do.
I think that is a legitimate question, but given the state of affairs that we find ourselves in, and it's never revealed to be on any sort of separate timeline, they are happening at the same time because Gibson does go from that crime scene to the other crime scene. So they are happening concurrently. So yeah, no, I mean, he doesn't know no one's watching, but again, like,
just
if
take
the guy's like,
take
oh,
a
you're
chance.
piercing your feet instead of your fucking pectoral muscles. Like, at least you fucking tried, but like, there's no way this is going to this is another trap where it's not going to fucking work out for you. And I just think that's fucking cheating. If I'm coming to this, I cannot believe we've been talking about this for an hour and 45 fucking minutes.
We're sorry. We lied about how long this was going to take.
This is the first time I've looked at the clock. We've never gone this long ever.
No, we have.
Patrick,
we have.
Just not happening
about,
to me.
That's not about a Saw movie. We have a couple times before.
I feel like every time I'm a guest on a podcast, at some point they go, "Oh my God, we've never gone this long," and I'm starting to recognize a recurring factor in all in these instances.
You may be the wild factor.
You have a lot of questions.
Scenario.
We want to answer them as best as we can.
I had so many questions.
Whether or not we answered them, that's another question.
We tried.
Yeah. So Hoffman kills 6 cops, 4 of them under the throat for some reason, and then shoots another guy through the eyeball, but never checks that Jill isn't armed when he enters her jail cell, and she stabs him in the neck. But for reasons I cannot tell you, he never bleeds from the neck. He's basically
by that. I think we've discussed it where he's basically Frankenstein's monster. Like, right. He just kind of barely makes it through doorways. Does not seem to be capable of feeling pain. Doesn't. I guess he lost all his blood when he ripped half his face open, and also really didn't react much to that.
Well, he lost all of his blood there, and as Patrick has pointed out in his various appearance-based monikers, he does look like he just stepped out of several hours in a meat smoker. So it's possible he doesn't have any blood left in his body.
He might be dry aged is what it comes down to. Whether it's for 30 or 45 days, we can't say.
No, the only thing in or on him is some like teriyaki glaze.
He does look sticky and sweet. Yeah, I think that's an accurate description. Meanwhile, Joyce, Bobby's wife, gets cooked alive for the sin of existing.
That's
like, this
so
sucks.
brutal.
Joyce innocent, Gina. Joyce innocent.
Oh, Joyce totally innocent.
Oh my God. So the pig imagery is like a recurring thing?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Because this was the other good part of the movie is this thing's dragging her neck down. You think it's just going to be, I don't know, her neck gets ripped off or something. And then it's these sides come up and it creates this gigantic pig-shaped like iron fucking oven thing.
Yes. And then she just gets cooked to death. Like, why does she get the worst death of everybody? It fucking sucks.
That's wild.
Yeah, I mean, she's punished for her poor taste in men.
Yeah. Well, shouldn't we all? So, thank goodness the Sawsville PD has kept one of all the old traps in one room. So that by the time that that Hoffman kidnaps Jill yet again, because she's so terrible at hiding, despite the fact she's very comfortable in yoga pants, he knocks her out. He puts her in one of those reverse bear traps, and from what I gathered on the internet, apparently this is the first time we've ever seen a reverse bear trap actually go off. Like, yeah, it's always been a threat up until this point. We've never actually seen it happen. So her face opens up like a flower, and weirdly enough, less blood than pulling your own molars out. But again, sure, why not? So Detective Rack of Ribs is gotten away with it. So he goes back off to his other location. You know, there's another Billy the puppet just sitting there. So how many fucking puppets did they make? And gathers up all the available cash in the safe and lights the joint on fire. And you're thinking, hey, he's finally gotten away with it. He's going to go off to Rio or whatever the fuck you do after all this.
Yeah, he's going to go enter himself in a rib competition.
Sure. Makes perfect sense. And then he's assaulted by 3 people in pig heads. Whoa, what? There's multiple pig head guys. One of them is Brad. The other one is Brian from the opening of the movie. And the third one, everybody, with a cane, Dr. Larry, everyone's favorite character. He's back, baby. And we learn that for all the movies, whether we've watched them or not, whenever Jigsaw needed someone to surgically do something, he called upon Dr. Larry. And then when Jill delivered that evidence videotape, it turned out to be to Dr. Larry. And so he has been given specific instructions, and they are, if something happens to Jill, then do something to Hoffman. And my question to the both of you is, why fucking wait for something to happen to Jill? Something's been happening to Jill for the last 2 movies. Why not just fucking step in and end him?
If you think that Hoffman is a threat, you know, why wait? Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's a stupid question. I mean, she died in a horrific manner.
Right.
Yes.
He needed Hoffman to do this movie. He needed Hoffman to do the rest of the movie.
But he seems to have an endless supply of people willing to do his dirty work for him.
Jigsaw has a fucking posse.
I don't know why you need to go with Frankenstein's monster unless you're looking for sheer brute strength.
This is the grand reveal, and you learn that Dr. Larry's been a part of it this whole time, and he and Tobin Bell have a very special relationship, and he's been sending notes to Hoffman and a whole bunch of bullshit.
It would have been great if during this montage, this is a montage of just like, as you said, I figured this out because I'm a smart guy, but all different things from the previous movies. But it would have been great if in between these little snapshots of Cary Elwes inserting a key into someone's cheek or whatever, if there was just like him and Tobin Bell like fly fishing or something.
Just watching movies and they'll throw back their heads and laughing and
they're sharing a bowl of popcorn.
Yeah, just clinking wine glasses together,
skateboarding.
On a tandem bike with one another, smiling,
jogging in slow motion down the beach. Man.
Just that whole Naked Gun Turtles montage.
Sharing a hot dog and spraying each other with condiments. Yeah.
Oh my God. So it ends where it begins. And by ends, there's 2 more fucking movies. Inside of that dirty bathroom where his chained foot is still there. The mummified remains of his chained foot.
I love how he flings the bone saw towards the audience. Like, here, take one of these. How do you like that?
Here's a 3D effect for you that will mean nothing in 2D. And so he just locks him in this place, chained to a fucking pipe, and that's it. And he's like, game over, and that's the end of the movie. And I have to assume that people just stood up and slow clapped for like 17 minutes, like they do in Con at the end of the screening.
It's a pretty muted revenge for the guy who rips your boss's wife's face in half.
Right.
You think he'd get something a little more elaborate than just being locked in a room and left there?
I think the revenge is he doesn't get anything elaborate at all. Like
he just starves to death. Sure. Or he's gonna have to like eat that corpse that's sitting next to him.
He's either going to eat the corpse or he's going to have to eat parts of himself. And if he's eating parts of himself, Gina, he's going to live forever.
Oh, yeah. And then slow roasted. Oh, yeah.
Them's good eating. So there you go, folks.
We spent 20 minutes longer than talking about this movie than it actually was.
The actual movie. That should be illegal. I'm sorry.
And yet it was all gold. It was all gold. You'll spend like 5 minutes editing this.
So it is time for us to play a little game, and that is called Choose Your Own Death Venture. And that's where we decide of the many, many deaths in this film. If you were to choose one of those ways to die, which one would it be and why? Up for bid. We have, keep a running tally, baby. Here we go. Sliced in half by blade for dating two guys at the same time. Crushed by speeding car tire to the face. Arms and jaw ripped out by speeding car. Run over by speeding car. Back glued to the seat, but you're still killed by the car crash that sends you through your already broken windshield into a second broken windshield. Fall into some lawnmower blades. Get burnt to death at a gas station. Throat poked with big poles, and you got a fish hook pulled out of your throat just for fun. Pierced through the eyes and mouth with more sharp poles. Hung by cable. Shot from behind by cop. Mowed down by possessed machine gun. Stabbed under the jaw one of four ways. Gassed in hallway. Neck snapped. Eye shot out. Burned alive in a very heavily constructed oven for no fucking reason. Die by reverse bear trap. Bleed out. Or starve to death inside of an abandoned bathroom. Oh boy, Clay, you are our guest, and that means you get to go first.
Well, I think, Patrick, you missed one. Die of embarrassment from showing up to a book signing in an absurd outfit, an absurd age-inappropriate outfit.
My apologies to Mr. Tobin Bell.
I feel like it's kind of a cop-out to choose one of the just sort of random get shot in the face or stabbed under the chin deaths.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to limit myself to one of the trap killings.
Okay.
I would have to say I can't do getting the thing pulled out of the throat seems awful. The skin glued to the chair seems really, really bad.
Yeah.
Anything where there's that sort of anticipatory buildup seems like the worst part of it. I would have to go. I don't know. I feel like the dream death, the getting quartered, I feel like that's a pretty instantaneous.
Sure.
You're a little bit freaked out, but that's over quick. And then honestly, I feel like pain wise, in terms of the sort of drawn out ones, the girl at the beginning who gets her stomach just kind of cut open by a saw, I feel like that's a localized pain. You could really like clinch, and you're like, I feel like that one would be okay.
Right.
I don't know. Getting your, I'm also just curious how long it takes to die with some of this stuff. Cause like getting your face peeled open in both directions, I guess, is that an instantaneous? Maybe that's another like shock death.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure.
I assume your brain goes bye pretty quick, but you would also, bleed out.
Like, I don't want to deal with this.
But the gal who gets sawed in half by that saw blade, because she's hanging upside down, like I think the blood loss there would take you out pretty quickly.
Yeah,
but
she's gone numb. I think she goes numb pretty fast.
But of course, now are you going to look as good as she does in that pink top and bra combo?
Like, I can't tell you how many times two different men have been in love with me at the same time. So that's a situation, not exactly down to the letter, but I've been in that situation. No, I haven't. I don't know. No, it's I feel like that would be, I think that's, and also I will say for this movie, I didn't watch the 3D version. But there's a lot of good, goopy, practical death gags in this movie. When people are getting their heads split open or their limbs ripped off or their faces crushed by tires or this girl's getting her guts spilled. There was some stuff in this. I was like, okay, there you go. There's some like old school Savini-esque ingenuity going on here. I'm liking this. Now, it sounds like, Patrick, there's maybe some added CGI shit that maybe they took. I don't know what your experience was, Gene. I think we watched the same version, but it didn't seem to me like there was that much extraneous CGI crap in this movie. So I don't know if it just didn't ping when you're watching the 2D, or if they kind of just took it out for the 2D. I'm not entirely sure, but I was pleased with the practical effects overall.
I can tell you that I will never be watching it in 2D, so I will
There's
never
no way
know.
to know, yeah.
So that will remain a mystery from now until time eternity. If you're aware, if you've seen both versions, first of all, are you okay? Secondly, let us know on one of the socials.
Yeah, if you've seen both versions, first of all, you should turn yourself in immediately.
Gina, what say you?
It's going to be disappointing if I do my usual. I'll just shoot me in the head or something. I want to go quick. I actually think that Jill's, entire head being split open, I think that's probably a pretty quick death. Because that looks like her entire damn jaw comes off, and she's kind of laid open like a Pez dispenser. Now, I don't particularly, want to be, have my head knocked into a desk and call the C word before I go, but
right, yeah.
But generally speaking, as far as, the time when I'm realizing I'm about to die to when I actually die, that seems to be the quickest. So I'm gonna take that.
Yeah. All of these are terrible. So I'm just gonna take being run over by a speeding car. Yes, there's anticipation to it, but when it happens, it is pretty fast. Plus, I will finally have gotten a haircut that reveals what a great bald head I have. I did have to shave my head into a Picard once for a stage production, and I was told by multiple people I've got a head for baldness. So that has not happened. I still, to this day, have a luscious head of hair. Knock on wood. I hope that continues. But, I could probably pull off that skinhead look if I absolutely needed to. No, I don't want to be a skinhead. Racist sucks. Die. Anyways, that just about does it. Josh Hollis does all of our artwork, and Revenge Body does our theme and all the remixes. Go to Revenge Body Memphis at bandcamp.com to get this theme and all of the others. Let's do some plug-in. Clay, tell our people on the show where they can find you and what you do.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, I'm on Twitter at Clay Keller, same thing, Letterboxd and Instagram. The show, the podcast, which Patrick, you were just on recently, is called Screen Drafts, where we bring on people to competitively collaborate in the creation of screen-centric best of lists. Basically, we have people not doing a fantasy draft where you draft things onto your own team and then you compare teams. This is basically people who are all working on the same team having to collaborate in creating a single best of list using alternating picks and vetoes and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. So if you're into movie chat, if you're into strategy, light gamesmanship, it's a fun game. We have a good time. We recently just did an entire month of horror drafts in October, which we called Scream Drafts month. And one of those was the top 13 best high school horror movies. Patrick was one of the players on that show, along with Winter Mitchell and Renee Beaver, and quote unquote April Wolf via her proxy, my co-host Ryan Marker. So anyway, that's called Screen Drafts. We have a Patreon as well, but we got an episode every week, all kinds of fun stuff. I don't know. Oh, you said this is going up around Thanksgiving, right?
Yes, Thanksgiving, yes.
So fresh in the feed will be the MCU Phase 4.
Oh, wow.
Super Draft. So everything, and for the first time ever, we are including television series alongside movies.
Wow.
So everything up through, not Wakanda Forever, everything up through the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special is going to be ranked in Phase 4 with Adam B. Very from Variety, Chancellor Agard used to be at Entertainment Weekly, Devin Kogan, who's at Entertainment Weekly, and Louis Peitzman, who actually, I don't know, he used to be at Vulture. I don't know where he is now, but those are the GMs for that one. And that's going to be a hoot. And then coming up in January is an entire month of Steven Spielberg related episodes.
Nice. Excellent.
So yeah, that's what's coming up on Screen Drafts.
It was an absolute pleasure to be a part of it. A true dream come true. I love the show, and I think it's a fun way to talk about movies. And you have such great guests, and it was an absolute pleasure to be part of it. I hope I acquitted myself reasonably well.
Oh, thank you. No, it was a delightful group, and of course, our mutual friend Winter Mitchell brought you on board, and I thought a perfect idea. It was a delight to have you. That's a fun episode. I encourage everybody to check that one out.
Absolutely. Gina, where can people find you on these here internets?
I write about movies and television at thespool.net. By the time this goes up, I will have reviewed a true horror movie, which is A Christmas Story Christmas. Which I foolishly threw myself on like a hand grenade just because I was going by the teaser and thought, how bad could it be? And then I saw the trailer, the full trailer, and I was like, pretty bad, as it turns out. So look out for that. I have a Substack in which I also write about movies and television and pop culture in general. That's Gina Watches Things. .substack.com. That's GENA. And in the very waning days of Twitter and Instagram, I am there under Gina Does Things.
You know where to find us, people. We're on all the socials. We got a Patreon. We're doing fun things over there, including our initial trip here at the end of this month into the world of Camp Crystal Lake, something we've never talked about before. Friday the 13th, we're going to be doing commentary episodes for that. And of course, our main episode that has already dropped, we talked about a Starsky and Hutch episode in which they hunt a vampire. So very much on theme for Kill by Kill, the weirdest TV episode that we could possibly find. And we talked about it, and it was very, very funny. So check it out. Please rate and review us on iTunes or wherever you rate or review podcasts. It really helps us be seen and heard by more people, and we would appreciate it if you would do that. If you said, I've already done that, well, if you're going to be gathered near your family, grab their phones and use their logins to rate and review us. Listen, there's no rule against it. Like a dog playing basketball, you can just do that shit. No one will stop you. That's the game that you need to play. But don't worry, folks. The body count will continue for myself and for Gina and for Clay. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.